Popeyes Offshore Grand Prix is sponsored by Bud Light. Anything else is just a light. And by Zenith Data Systems. Zenith innovates again. Welcome to the world of jazz and the world of great Cajun cuisine and the world of offshore powerboat racing. Hello, everyone. I'm Dick Crippen along with Jim Hendrick as we get ready to bring you this 10th annual event, the Popeyes Offshore Grand Prix from Lake Pontchartrain in New Orleans, Louisiana. And we say the word lake with offshore, Jim. That'll throw a lot of people off right away.
Well, don't be fooled about this lake. It can get just as rough as any ocean. And you know, looking at it right now, the water conditions are good. And that can lull these drivers into a sense of, well, euphoria, if you have it that way, because they'll try to stretch their engines. You could have a lot of attrition. And if the wind kicks up, look out. This Lake Pontchartrain can be just as rough as parts of the Atlantic Ocean.
Well, we certainly have seen a lot of boats go to the sidelines during these races in the past couple of years, and we'll be watching them very closely today. Let's check on how the boats are preparing right now by going down to the pits and Mark Spencer.
Thanks a lot, Dick. Let's take a look at the matchups that are developing here on pit road for this, the third stop of the 1989 Tour. In the Superboat class, Popeyes Diet Coke is a last-minute scratch. Al Copeland Jr. was scheduled to drive this boat. However, his wife is expecting a baby literally any minute now. Understandably, they'll have to pass on this one. Without the Popeyes, the boat to beat is Eric's reality. Charlie Marks has won the first two races of the season in dominating fashion. He's got the boat, he's got the speed, it's his race to win. In the open class, 8 boats will tow the starting line. The favorite is John and J.D. D'Elia. Like Charlie Marks, they too have won the first 2 races of the season. They'll be tough in the special edition. John Antonelli and Jack Clark will be in the Jaguar Cat Spirit of America. This boat is turbocharged, a lot of top-end speed. They should like the calm conditions here on Lake Pontchartrain. Nori Sabunja has made a change in the cockpit of the chairman of the board. Harold Smitty Smith, a veteran, will work the throttles on this Lamborghini-powered Cougar. We'll also have a full fleet of boats in the modified and the Pro Stock class. It should be interesting. It should be fast here on Lake Pontchartrain in New Orleans. Back to you, Dick.
Thank you, Mark. And of course, this event in New Orleans, Louisiana is going to be very important in a very tight national points race. And the man who's going to be watching from high atop all of the action, Rich Lures.
Thanks, Dick. We have a combination of ingredients here today that should be very, very interesting. The wind has been changing around from all 4 points of the compass for the last hour. There is a front of some kind coming through. There's definitely going to be quite a breeze out there. The lake will not be very calm today. It's also quite hot and muggy, so the engines will be suffering right from the start. We're going to take off right now and catch this race. Back to you, Dick.
Well, as we said, this is the third stop on the national tour for the offshore powerboats, and Rich Lures has let you in on a little bit of the preparation as we get ready to take to a course that, Jim, is brand new, and it should give some spectators a little better view.
Yes, and 60 boats plus are going to have to battle this course, and let's take a look at it. From the start, the racers proceed south checkpoint 1. Turning east, and the fleet follows the coast, negotiating checkpoints 2 and 3, swinging around Lakefront Airport to checkpoint 5 and 6. Once past checkpoint number 6, the boats head out 16 miles north to checkpoint number 7. At checkpoint 7, the fleet turns south, runs along the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway back to checkpoint number 1. This completes the one and only long lap of 40 miles. From here, the racers follow the same course as before along the coast to checkpoint number 6. Once there, the fleet turns northwest to checkpoint number 4. That takes a southwesterly course back to checkpoint 1. Now, this makes up the medium lap of 16 miles, of which there will be a total of 7 made. The race will end with a 7.5-mile sprint for the checkered flag along the coastline of Lake Pontchartrain and finishing in front of South Shore Harbor. Each class must make a predetermined number of laps to complete today's race. 159.5 miles for Superboat, Open, and UIM2, which is modifieds. 127.5 for the Pro Stock, 111.5 for stock classes.
Well, Jim, we've raced in all kinds of weather here at Lake Pontchartrain. Today is near perfect. 88 degrees, south-southeast winds at about 10 to 15 knots. Seas are 2 to 3 feet. Partly cloudy. We may have some oncoming weather, though, later this afternoon. We'll have to keep an eye out for that.
But so far, Dick, the weather is looking good, and everything is set for today's race. But the host boat and her owner won't be in competition today. Mark Spencer is in the pits with Al Copeland. Mark?
Al, five-time national champion. It's got to be tough to watch from the sidelines all the time, but especially here in New Orleans.
You bet it is. It's real difficult for me. You know, every year running here is one of my favorite things to do. Winning here is the greatest thing on earth for me. And to sit here now and just watch the boats run is very difficult, yeah.
Why aren't you racing?
Well, actually, I just finished buying a company. I bought Church's Fried Chicken, which was a New York Stock Exchange company, and I borrowed about $500 million to do it. So the good news is that I now have a company that does over $1 billion in sales annually. It is one of my goals in life, and it also is the second largest fried chicken operation in the world. It also is the 11th largest restaurant chain in the world. The bad news is I owe $500 million, and the guys who lent me the money said, look, guys, you can't be racing. If you race and something happens to you and you get killed, then we have more risk, and we don't want that to happen. So that was the alternative I had, to either keep my business deal going or keep racing. And there was really no contest. I love racing, but I love business first.
Well, it's got to be kind of tough on the sidelines for Big Al. Let's go now to the wet pits.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
And we'll be back with the start of our race after this timeout. Welcome back to Lake Pontchartrain, New Orleans, Louisiana, and a brand new pit surrounding for these boats.
Yeah, no kidding, Dick. It's the South Shore Harbor Marina. It's conveniently located adjacent to the lakefront airport, just minutes from downtown in that French Quarter. All the spectators get a good view of their favorite teams and favorite boats as they can walk in and among all these racers here today.
It is a gorgeous place. Now, as the racers make their last-minute preps, let's go to Rich Lors, who yesterday had a chance to preview the Lake Pontchartrain course.
Thanks, Dick. We're out here trying to find out how this Lake Pontchartrain, can in fact be the roughest course in the APBA circuit at times. It is, in the past 10 years, responsible for more accidents and more hull damage than any other course. The reason lays in the changeable weather here in New Orleans and in the lake itself. It's very, very shallow. Shallow water means very, very close wave crests. Those close crests mean a tremendous amount of abuse on the part of the hulls and the crews, and that abuse translates to breakdowns and problems. By tomorrow, this could be a totally different environment out here. Back to you, Dick.
Thank you very much, Rich. And, of course, Rich will be aboard Chopper 1 throughout the race, giving us some great aerial commentary as the race gets going. Here's your lineup for the Superboats. Number 45, Lucky Strike, Eric's Reality. Number 60, Little Caesars, 69, and RDS, number 89. Those are all Superboat entries into today's field.
And as always, they'll have two classes starting off this race, the Superboats and the Opens. Looking at the Open, here's Special Edition, the John D'Elia team. Dirty Laundry, Joe Mock. Hawk Marine Power, Craig Berry. The Spirit of America, John Antonelli and squad. Here's the Maxon, Hawk Marine Power, Chairman of the Board, and Apache Trader. So we have a pretty good open fleet to face these waters here today, Dick.
And these two classes have really been battling it out together. A lot of competition. Here comes the start of the race now. The pace boat has released the leaders. Right out into the lead, RDS. Stephen Baldwin of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, on his left side. Coming up trying to challenge is Lucky Strike.
These guys will race at a big triangle like they did last year, but unlike last year, they will not race the smaller or mid-sized triangle. They'll stay close to shore and make laps for the spectators.
Phil Mashinsky driving the Lucky Strike. That's the boat nearest to you on the screen right now, riding in second place on Lake Pontchartrain. This is your leader, Steve Baldwin and Keith Hazel in 89 RDS, but they've got a long way to go and a lot of rough water between here and the finish. A problem on the course. Let's go to Rich Lors.
Special Edition right off the start went dead in the water right in the starting chute. They never made the start. They're now getting going. They've lost at least 4 minutes to the lead boats. It'll be amazing if John and J.D. D'Elia can make up this kind of a handicap. Back to you, Dick.
If there's any team that can make up that handicap, though, I'd say Special Edition is the team. John and J.D. D'Elia, father and son, out of Connecticut. We've got another start about to happen.
Yes, the OM2 Modifieds, Eastern Express, Agitator, American Dream, Team Skater, and look at this one, Bad to the Bone.
Gotta love the name of these boats, and you kind of wonder where some of them come from. And this is a very equal class. I think we're going to see some good competition because the water's about perfect for the modifieds today.
And starting with the modifieds, we be the pro stocks. Low bid, risky business, high risk, ocean outboard, missed on cue, and first defense.
Again, we're at Lake Pontchartrain in New Orleans, Louisiana. It is a very shallow lake, therefore it can rough up very fast and it can smooth out very fast also. We're waiting for the start of these boats. Here they come now for the start. Look at that group as they come down very even. It's the kind of start that's great from a helicopter. Here's Rich Lors.
Thanks, Dick. There's the start of the combined pro stock and modified classes. An agitator roars right out in front. The combined class is running a good turn of speed in what right now is considerably calmer water than we expected.
Well, it's certainly calmer than the water was last year this time here on Lake Pontchartrain. We lost a lot of boats to attrition. It's amazing because in each of the classes that started, we've had a clearly defined leader. Right there, you can see Agitator is taking the lead in his class right off the start line. Here's the leader overall in this race right now. Chairman of the board is the name of the boat. The driver is Nori Sanbunja. He's got a good race going in that catamaran. The V-boat right behind him in the overall running is 89. Steve Baldwin of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The boat's name is RDS.
There's a couple of cats now. As you can see, the water is smooth for them, Dick, and we're taking a good look at Eric's Reality. Charlie Marks and his throttle man, Bobby Moore, they've had a real good season this year, winning everything in sight.
Phil Masinski's Lucky Strike, that deep V right there, finished second in the Superboat class last year. This season, he's not the only V-bottom in the Superboat starting lineup.
Last year I was the only Apache on the circuit. This year there were 3. We do expect a couple more before the end of the year, and it makes the racing more interesting and competitive because we're running the same type of hull.
The addition of Little Caesars and RDS to the Superboat fleet, along with Lucky Strike, there are more deep Vs than ever before. Now, Dick, what's the difference between a catamaran and a deep V hull?
Well, a deep V is a boat hull designed to cut through rough water. The V shape with its strakes and chines allows the boat to ride on the rough water at maximum speed. A catamaran hull, on the other hand, allows a faster run on calmer water. The tunnel design creates lift similar to that of an airplane wing, and it minimizes the drag.
This boat is having no problem with drag. Overall leader, chairman of the board, Nuri Sabunja, leader overall.
And, of course, he is in one of those catamarans. Let's go up to Chopper 1 and Rich Lors.
Chairman of the board is roaring, Dick. He's out in front by about a quarter of a mile over all the open-end superboats. He took the lead right off the start. We're flying along at about 100 miles an hour. The water is ideal for this boat. His brand new throttle man, Smitty Smith, is doing a terrific job. And right now the story is all number 55, chairman of the board, and those big Lamborghini engines and those key-caber drives. Flying.
He is doing that. Nori Sambunja in chairman of the board, leader overall at this point in our race on Lake Pontchartrain. We'll be back as the excitement continues in a moment. Back to offshore racing. Let's go back to the marathon race in April of this year. A little problem on the boat Cat. A lot of people viewing for the first time, Jim, don't understand the dangers of offshore racing.
Well, you can see the tie bar is flopping loose on the rear end of this boat, the Cat. Once he gets airborne, he loses control, goes sideways, bounces a couple of times, ends up right upside down. Both drivers are underwater. The canopies protected them. They pop up. They're all right.
Credit the capsules with saving their lives. Mark Spencer talks about the different types of cockpits.
Speeds have increased dramatically in the sport of offshore racing in the last 5 years, and with increased speed comes an increase in the danger factor. To save drivers' lives, innovations have been made in the development of the cockpit canopy. The cockpit canopies you see on many offshore race boats today are actually from fighter jets. In the event of an accident, when a boat rolls or stuffs, the crew is faced with a deadly wall of water. Standing between this potentially fatal impact and the racers is a Lexan polycarbonate composite shield. The polycarbonate layers absorb impact. The Lexan film seals the composite layers and adds hardness to disperse impact energy. Many competitors use a pre-molded canopy from an F-16 fighter jet. There are 2 types. The most popular utilizes an open-air cutout in the top of the dome. Other competitors seal their canopies with a hatch, completely enclosing the cockpit. The unique half-moon canopies on Eric's Reality are derived from the British-made Harrier jump jet. Constructed of essentially the same materials as the American F-16, the Harrier canopy has less distortion, offering improved visibility at high speed. Al Kropp's Cat Team and Tim Chisuli's Maxon use a coupe-style cockpit canopy. The coupe structure is designed with safety supports and windows in which flat panels of impact-resistant composite material are mounted. While not as aerodynamically clean as the F-16 dome, the flat panels are less expensive but still provide the same life-saving impact protection. No matter what style of canopy these boats employ, the speeds reached in competition today dictate that extra measures must be taken in crew protection.
Back on Lake Pontchartrain, there you see Eric's Reality, Charles E. Marks. That is the lead boat in lap number 1. He is averaging, according to our Zenith Data Systems computer, 94.82 miles per hour heading to checkpoint number 1.
Charlie Marks showing the fleet the short way around the course. His strategy has changed from that of earlier races.
I think we're going to get out in front and try to stay in front. Before, we were happy to stay back and then try to pass up. But with those short laps, I want to keep Peter Markey behind me and a lot of water in his face.
So far, that strategy is paying off beautifully because Peter Markey is back in 3rd place. Here's your 2nd place boat, RDS number 89, Steve Baldwin. Again, we emphasize to those that are watching for the first time that it is not just a matter of driving these boats. You also must control the engines. In this case, they have 3 850 horsepower engines, and the throttle man is constantly working that. Here's your 3rd place boat.
Pete Markey and Little Caesars Pizza. They placed 2nd the first 2 races of the year. Charlie Marks calls Markey a North Carolina no-see-em. He keeps sneaking up and picking at him.
They've got a lot of names. Some of them we can't use on the air here. Here's Lucky Strike, Phil Mashinsky, who is a certified public accountant by trade. We have all sorts of professions represented here. This boat is riding in 4th place, lap number 1 for the Superboats. Lucky Strike.
Phil Mashinsky had great success in the PTM Express last year and showed some of the boat owners the popular way to low budget into the Superboat class. And this team right here, 101 plus, looking for a victory. They've come close to the winner's circle, but Nuri Sabuja has come up short.
Marathon race, we lost it because we were leading the race halfway. We lost it because we broke down. Fort Myers, I did a couple of, I made mistakes. That's why we ended up 2nd. And let's see what happens this time. I mean, we didn't lose because the boat didn't perform or so and so. It was, one was the engine, the other was my fault. The 3rd time, we'll see what happens.
Currently running 2nd, Spirit of America, John Antonelli and Jack Clark. This is Clark's old Thriller Hall. They're waiting for that new Jaguar Superboat that should be ready maybe before this season is out.
Good run for this boat. You can see how good the water is here on Lake Pontchartrain, and I keep thinking back to last year when it was so rough. Hawk Marine Power, John Tomlinson right up in there in 3rd place now in the open class. Navigator on the boat is Ed Shear out of Miami, Florida. The throttle man is Mandy Fernandez. It's a 37-foot cigarette V, and it is charging, but not like this one. John DeLea and his son J.D. are charging hard now. They have come up to 4th place in the class. You'll remember they started off the pace having gone down at the start line. Here's another of your leaders, Agitator, at 88.38. Let's go to Rich Lors.
All right, thanks, Dick. We're right on Agitator right off the start of the modified race. Alan and Kirk Dunneman let it be known that they were throwing down the gauntlet. Catch us if you can. They just took off like a scalded rabbit. They're leading after the first checkpoint by approximately a 1/4 of a mile and turning a speed which we catch at something over 100 miles an hour. The boat is trimmed perfectly. The seas are very, very calm along the lakefront. This is extremely surprising. It is a mill pond in here. These boats can go flat out if they want to. It spells fast racing today.
But if they go flat out for too long, they could break something. They've got to really conserve the engine. Here's our 2nd place boat in the class, Team Skater. Kevin Brown, the driver. The throttle man is Jim Dyke. They both hail from the state of Ohio, Dick.
Jim, I honestly don't think they could ask for any more out of this boat. It is behaving beautifully for them. They've got a good run going, and they're holding it solid. But as far as names go, I think we're going to vote this one as one of the best on the circuit. Bad to the bone.
And back in the pack at 3rd place for Jose Leyva from Hialeah, Florida, and for Richard Conti from Miami, his throttle man.
We're going to check Pro's stock now. Miss Don Q, lap number 1. The Zenith Data Systems computer showing us 85.65 miles per hour for the average speed. Miss Don Q leading the field, first defense second, high risk third, and risky business fourth.
Our leader is Miss Don Q, Felix Sorellis. His brother Juan Sorellis missed some races earlier this year, and he told us earlier the reason why.
Well, basically, I got a new job. I'm flying with United Airlines now, and because of the new job, I started training with them, and I wasn't able to reschedule that. I had training that weekend, so I couldn't get out of it, you know. But now I'm on the line now, flying our normal schedule, so I can make all the races, hopefully.
Miss Don Q, leader in the Pro Stock Division here at Lake Pontchartrain in New Orleans, Louisiana, where we'll return to more offshore racing action after this. We're back at Lake Pontchartrain in New Orleans, Louisiana. Earlier in Detroit, Jim talked with the owner of the unlimited hydroplane, Miss Budweiser, Bernie Little, about the future of big-time boat racing.
Bernie Little needs no introduction, but he's looking for his fourth unprecedented world championship in unlimiteds, but always has a special place in his heart for the offshore guys.
Well, you're right, Jim. We got a lot of good friends there. Al Copeland, Tom Gentry, Bob Kaiser. All these guys are close to me, and we've raced against them, and we like to stay involved and be with them.
I understand there may be a merger, perhaps, of a professional group that would include all you guys together.
Yeah, there is, and I'm sure that will pass, I think, in September. And I think it'll be a real plus for the sport.
It'll be actually the professional division of the APBA.
That's what it'll be, and Miss Budweiser will be on top of both of those.
I think confident is the word that we would use with Bernie Little most often. He's confident about his boat's performance. Well, let's go back to Jim with a report on that unlimited hydroplane race in Detroit.
The Motor City of Detroit, Michigan was the third stop of the HFC American Hydroplane Series, the Budweiser Spirit of Detroit race. Over 600,000 people lined the shores on the Detroit River for this event. The toughest course the Thunderboats race on all year long. Chip Hanauer, driving the Circus this year, beat the Miss Budweiser and the rest of the field in the first preliminary heat of the day, setting a competition lap record for this course at 1:45.395. In Heat 1B, Scott Pierce out in front of the pack. Coming down the backstreet in corner number 3, the Pringle started to kite, and then he lost it completely. Up and over on the canopy, right side up. Pierce was back in the pits not long before the day's end, and he suffered only a chipped bone in his ankle. Both he and the boat will compete again. The second meeting between Chip Hanauer and the Circus and Jim Cropfield and Miss Budweiser had a different outcome, with Cropfield breaking the Circus record of the previous heat with a single lap record of 1:45.3 and setting a new heat average speed record of 1:45.8. The start of the final heat, winner take all, saw the Miss Budweiser jump out to a big lead going into turn number 1. But like the Mr. Pringles earlier in the day, the boat got away from Jim Cropfield. He ended up flying the boat upside down, a 180 on his left side and over. Cropfield escaped ditchery. Both he and the boat will race again. On the restart, it was Chip Hanauer and the Miss Circus, making it 3 different winners in 3 races this year.
Lots of excitement on the unlimited hydroplane racing trail, and lots of excitement for the offshore boats at Lake Pontchartrain in New Orleans, Louisiana. Not so exciting for this boat, though. It just went down. Let's go to Rich Lors.
Well, the attrition bug is bitten. It's bitten chairman of the board, number 55. Victim of attrition out here. After leading by a very, very comfortable margin in open class, they've been sitting dead in the water for a few minutes already. The second place boat, Spirit of America, still hasn't come by. As you can see, they're out on the deck. They don't seem to be making any motion towards getting started again. It looks like the end of the day of racing for Nuri Sabunja and Harold Smitty Smith. Back to you, Dick.
Thank you very much, Rich Lors from Chopper 1, high atop the course. A lot of disappointment for that crew for sure. More boats going down. There's Craig Berry walking back on the number 8 Hawk Marine.
Dirty Laundry, Hawk Marine, Maxon, chairman of the board, Apache Trader in the open class, 5 boats. And only 1 boat down in the modified. That's American Dream as we return to action.
There you're looking at Dirty Laundry right in the center of your screen. Coming up on Dirty Laundry, though, the US 1 Special Edition. That's the D'Elia family of John and his son J.D. They're making up a lot of time through the pack. The lap design is not slowing them down.
As you know, we have the lightest boat and probably one of the most maneuverable boats in the open class, so I think It'll certainly help us, and I think it'll show that our boat really is a performer in tight corners and in long runs and whatever the kind of courses. I think is going to prove that we've got the right boat. I hope for these kind of water conditions, that's going to depend upon the weather.
Well, weather is certainly one of the things in his favor today. The conditions on Lake Pontchartrain just about perfect.
You know, they had a late start. They were down in the water. They just come charging right on back, and Miss Don Q still leading in their class.
Miss Don Q, leader in the pro stock, a lap time of 87.74 miles per hour in lap number 3. There you can see by our course locator where they are approaching checkpoint number 4. First defense right up in there. Second place now, Neil Red Crane and Mike Novick. Mike Novick getting a little bit of an easier ride on Lake Pontchartrain than he's used to.
He was Rookie of the Year last year, I believe.
He certainly was, and he's done an excellent job of keeping that boat tuned in, passing one of the smaller class boats. Here's a little bit of a battle, a little neck and neck, if you will, a little fun for these guys. High risk, number 71, John Engel, takes a little bit of a front run with those 3 outboards, really pushing hard against the water.
And this is the kind of racing that Rick Felson really likes on those throttles.
The modified division right now has Team Skater in the lead, 92.38 miles per hour. This team really works hard to have the boat race ready.
I apply a lot of engineering principles to the bracketry, and I just take the time to sit down and design it and fit it by hand, and then redo the drawings to get an actual fit, and then build the bracket for its maximum strength. And that's what really helps keep the parts in one place. And when the brackets start letting loose and the ties start letting loose, then things start falling apart, and that's when we have problems.
The unlimited hydroplanes have a rule. They must have a canopy, a restraint system, but not so in the offshore division, where the agitator, here currently running second, Father Alan Dunneman, his son Kirk, they team up. Alan says he won't run with a restraint. He will not run under a canopy. His choice.
A lot of the guys like the feel of that air against their face so that they know about speed and conditions around them. 90.27 miles per hour for the leader of Open. That's Spirit of America, John Antonelli, the driver, raced here last year in the Superboat class. This year in Open class, he has sort of a score he'd like to settle.
This is the only race I've never won in the entire circuit. We are here to win this race, and we're here to win it big. We are running against John D'Elia, who is leading the nation at this point, and we feel that we have the speed on him, and if we hold together, we will win the race.
Well, he's going to have to hold together, because right now there is a charge through the pack, and it is the man that John Antonelli was referring to, John D'Elia and his son J.D., in the boat called Special Edition. No question, this car dealer from Connecticut wants to get up there. He is the defending champion in this class, and he would like nothing better than to get this win in New Orleans today.
Here's your second place boat, Hawk Marine Power, John Tomlinson and Mandy Fernandez, but they seem to be slowing down. It looks like they have a problem. Look at the driver looking back over his shoulder. He sees Special Edition coming on.
It looks like he is. He's signaling the Special Edition to pass him, so obviously a problem in Hawk Marine. Special Edition now has taken over second place, and the challenge has been served. John D'Elia is looking ahead to try to get to first. Meanwhile, this boat leading in the super class, 95.04 miles per hour. Charles Marks, Bobby Moore, Eric's Reality, they have had a great run out here, and it continues as they lead the pack.
Holding his own in second is Pete Markey in the Little Caesars. He feels the many turns on this course benefit his V-bottom boat.
The big cats have to slow down in those turns because they'll spin out a lot faster than we will. Just lean over and take them pretty tight and fast. So that's going to be our advantage because this race has many, many circles, a lot of laps.
Just some of the race strategy that's being used on Lake Pontchartrain here in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Here's Phil Mashinsky, who won this race last year, 1988.
Good ride for Phil also. A lot of times we lose the perspective on these boats. We talk about the speed and the roughness of the water and such. That boat, Lucky Strike, a 47-footer. This boat, a 45-footer, Apache V. He is riding in third place now. It is RDS, but 45 feet of boat being pushed in this case by 3 850 horsepower engines at speeds upwards of 90 to 100 miles per hour. You realize you sometimes lose perspective because they are so big.
Superboat thrills on the way when we come back to the 10th annual Popeyes Offshore Grand Prix.
We look across Lake Pontchartrain in New Orleans, Louisiana, and we're reminded safe boating is the responsibility of everyone. Earlier, Rich Lors met with some folks who explained the types of life vests or PFDs.
Bill, tell us a little bit about flotation devices 1 through 5.
Well, 1 through 5 are the approved personal flotation devices used and approved by the United States Coast Guard for recreational boating and also for commercial boating.
This is a Type 1 PFD. If you'll notice, it gets its turning ability from the bulk of the flotation being built in on the front of the PFD and very little on the back, but it will enable you to have head support while you're floating in a face-up position slightly backwards. The Type 2 PFD is a device that primarily is used in intermediate situations, inshore rather than offshore. This device has an inherent buoyancy minimum of 15.5 pounds and is built specifically to turn an unconscious person face up in the water. This is the Type 3 PFD. This is probably one of the most popular PFDs on the market today. This particular PFD requires wearer participation by the individual to help it get them afloat and to put them in an upright, slightly backwards position. The Type 4, generally speaking, is in fact a cushion type or a ring type device. Generally speaking, it's used as a device to be thrown to an individual, but not used generally as a primary PFD. The Type 5 is a special application PFD ranging all the way from the hybrid that only has 7.5 pounds of inherent buoyancy to the special applications such as the offshore racing PFD. We must remember, however, these are only designed for those special applications and are not certified should they be used in activity other than they are listed for.
If you need more information on personal flotation devices, contact the U.S. Coast Guard or the American Powerboat Association.
We're looking at the only 2 Superboat in the fleet so far this year with the absence of Copeland, Gentry, and Lavin as competitors. It's Eric's Reality looking for his 3rd straight victory. He has on lap number 6. He's over 92.8 miles an hour on lap number 5.
And interesting because his strategy on the other 2 races he won this year was to maybe slow it down a little bit for 3/4 of the race and then blow it wide open on the last lap and make sort of a drag race out of it. This time, as we heard earlier, Charles Marks came into the race with the strategy in mind that he wanted to take the lead as early as he could, which he did going into the first turn of this race, and he wanted to hold on to the lead the rest of the way. And thus far, the strategy here on Lake Pontchartrain has paid off. But you'll notice the skies are darkening just a bit. We're still a little concerned about the weather out here, and they might just get a little bit of rain coming in. It's on the far shore at this point. RDS running in 2nd place. That 45-foot-long boat out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Stephen Baldwin, a very solid run for this crew in 2nd. Here's your 3rd place boat, Pete Markey. This was the man the leader had been worried about.
The waters are still smooth, Dick, but you're right, there is rain on the far shore. It could affect these drivers. Looking at open class now. On lap number 5, our leader is the Spirit of America. He said if he could keep it going, he was going to win this race.
So far, he has had a good run, John Antonelli. They have no problem at all with the Spirit of America, but they constantly are looking over their shoulders. I think they are aware that special edition, this blue and white boat that you see on your screen now, the father and son combination of John and J.D. D'Elia, is charging hard. They are in 2nd place right now. They started down at the start line. They weren't even underway at that point, and it took a while to get the boat on plane. Finally, it broke open, and they got it moving. This is the number 26 Hawk Marine Power, the boat that was the former Molson Indy boat. Lauren Leibel drove that to Rookie of the Year honors in his class a couple years ago, back in 1986.
And he's currently running in 3rd place. Here's your 1st place in modified. It's Kevin Brown, a team skater. He's barely 30 years old, Dick. He's already retired and has enough money to go powerboat racing.
And he's doing a good job of powerboat racing now, leading in the modifieds. Let's go upstairs to Rich Lors.
Thanks, Dick. We're with M32, Kevin Brown's team skater, way out in front of the modified class. 1,080 horsepower and a 32-foot skater. Seems to be the combination to beat. As in all the other classes, the lightest, fastest boat has gone to the lead. The question, as in all the other classes, is how good a job did the mechanics do? How much homework did they do? Can they keep these things percolating like this in these extreme temperatures? Dick.
And the temperature right now approaching the 90-degree mark, and these boats still battling hard.
Here's the Agitator, currently running 2nd. This boat is running well. In fact, he won the race at Fort Myers. Multicolored, attractive boat, and running very well here on Lake Pontchartrain in New Orleans today.
And a boat that he has got to be concerned with is the M89. Jose Leyva, Bad to the Bone, the name of the boat. Another good one, but again, we caution everybody that the skies are graying up on us now. The clouds are moving in. We had reports of rain on the far shore. Will it affect the race? We'll find out when we come back in just a moment. Dick Crippen along with Jim Hendrick. This is Lake Pontchartrain, New Orleans, Louisiana. Your leader, 97.86 miles per hour. Eric's Reality, the name of the boat. There you see the red marker indicating where he is between checkpoint 2 and 3, heading toward the finish line.
And Charlie Marks, Eric's Reality, threatens to make it 3 out of 3. This is a Cougar catamaran hull, built in England, Gentry turbo engines, Keycaver outdrives, and it's rigged and throttled by Bobby Moore. More to the story, let's go up to Rich Lures.
The story is Eric's Reality, the boat that has completely dominated this race today. In the cockpit, Charles Marks and Bobby Moore have not had, I don't think, one thing to worry about since the race started. The boat has performed flawlessly. They've had a very comfortable, relaxing ride, and just absolutely started out in the lead and stretched it out.
I think the amazing thing about this boat, Jim, is the fact that he has run in just about every type of water possible so far in the race circuit, and he's done a fine job with it.
Here's our second place boat in Class RDS, and doing a very fine job. A little light on the front end, look at him.
He's getting up there, but they haven't been jumping out of the water, so with those props continually churning in the water, they've been able to develop good speed. Little Caesars, this is the boat that finished second in the first 2 races of the year, now running in third here on Lake Pontchartrain. Little Caesars, a very good ride on the boat, but just not having the power to catch the other 2 at this point.
But still getting points toward qualifying for the World Championships.
That's right, and there's your leader in the open class, Spirit of America, John Antonelli. He has had a very good run out there. At the end of lap 7, he was at 98.02 miles per hour, as you saw. A very good run for this boat, but again, still looking over his shoulder for John D'Elia and J.D., his son, in Special Edition, and that boat continues to close from second place.
Dick, the water conditions here on Lake Pontchartrain, the best I've ever seen. It's like going for a pleasure boat ride for these guys today.
They really have taken full advantage of it, too. Hawk Marine Power, John Tomlinson and Mandy Fernandez now riding in third place. They may have had a problem partway through the race. We saw them, as you remember earlier, signaling Special Edition by.
Looking now at the modified, it's Team Skater.
95.50 miles per hour at the end of lap 6 for the modifieds. The leader, Team Skater. That's a pretty good run for this boat.
And they're running down the last leg for this race. The checker flag waits for Team Skater in the modified class. This boat, Agitator, currently running second. Father and son team, Alan Dunneman and son Kirk.
And right behind them in third place, it's the M89. Bad to the Bone. It looks like we're going to escape the weather problems that have developed on the far side of the lake. These boats are heading toward the finish line as we speak, and the weather continues to hold steady.
Looking at Pro Stock, it's Miss Don Q on the last leg of their course here at Lake Pontchartrain, averaging better than 86 miles an hour on this lap.
A good run for the Miss Don Q. Second place in the Pro Stock will be First Defense, followed by High Risk and Risky Business. These boats very evenly matched. A lot of good competition in these boats, and we've seen them certainly take advantage of this water to get that competition going today.
You know, if they ran the old course, the big, medium, and small triangles, they would have run into that water, that rain on the other side of the course.
So the race committee will stand up and take a bow, I'm sure. Why not take credit for something? So what if you didn't have anything to do with it? But it's been a very good race, and I think they've proven in themselves that this course can really make it happen right. Risky Business, number 27, fourth place. Now we look out at the finish of the Superboats. This is Charles Marks in Eric's Reality. That, Jim, 3 out of 3.
Can't be any better. Average speed over 97 miles an hour. And look how smooth that Superboat is running.
3 out of 3 for Charles Marks in Eric's Reality. There you see him heading across the finish line in New Orleans, Louisiana. He'll head immediately to South Shore Harbor Marina Wet Pits, where we'll catch up with him for our winner's interview in the Popeyes Offshore Grand Prix. We'll return in a moment. Back in New Orleans, Louisiana, you can see the boat coming in now. This is the winner, and this boat has dominated the circuit 3-4-3. This the third race of the season, and Eric's Reality again taking first place, followed by RDS in second, Little Caesars third, and Lucky Strike takes fourth place.
1 hour and 32 minutes, averaging over 97 miles an hour for the winner. Let's go down to Mark Spencer. Mark?
3 in a row for Eric's Reality. Charlie Marks, this winning's becoming habit forming.
Not really habit forming, but it feels great to win.
Bobby, you went to the front earlier than you usually do. Was that part of your strategy?
Yeah, we've been sort of running slow and just watching the race from the back. And this time we figured we'd go out front and let everybody chase us for a while.
Any predictions for Sarasota? Will you make it 4 in a row?
No, we don't make predictions like things like that. My biggest concern in the past has been, will the engines hold together, you know? And now I think that I've gotten a little bit over that because these engines have proven to be super. But we're not going to make any predictions. We're going to take them one at a time. And if I made a prediction, Bobby knocked the hell out of me, so I'm not going to make any predictions.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy crew down there with Charles Marks, Bobby Moore. Here's the finish now of the open class. And this has got to be a happy driver, John Antonelli.
He said that this is the only race course he has not won on. That statement will no longer be true.
Averaging 93.95 miles per hour on a Zenith Data Systems. He's got to be happy about it. There you see the results. Spirit of America, followed by Special Edition, Hawk Marine, and Chairman of the Board.
So with Spirit America winning in the open class, the happy team is gathered down at their docks. Let's go down to Mark Spencer. Mark?
Spirit of America, the winner in the open class, John Antonelli. It's been a while since you've been on victory lane. How does it feel?
We're back. We're back.
Now, during the race, it looked like you started off real slow. Did you have some problems?
We didn't start off slow. That was a plan. We started off dead last and let everybody go. And as soon as we got to the first long lap, we started picking them off. That's exactly what we said we were going to do, and that's exactly what we did. It worked beautifully.
Jack Clark, can you remember an open class race in all the years you've been in racing where the attrition rate was so high?
No, I guess this one here is probably going to top the whole show, yeah.
Were you surprised that the speed chairman of the board flashed early in the race?
Not really. Like John said, we just kind of let everybody run. We wouldn't have any problem running anybody down there.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
And here's the checkered flag for team skater Kevin Brown and his crew, who held second place in the first race of the year at Marathon. Broke in Fort Myers and did not finish. Here in race number 3 of 89, they take the checkered flag and modified.
In 1 hour, 42 minutes, and 24 seconds, team skater 78.40 miles per hour average speed. Agitator second, followed by Bad to the Bone and Eastern Express. Let's go to the pits and Mark.
Kevin Brown, you ran an absolutely flawless race right up until the finish. What happened?
Well, we lost a port motor and had to come down off plane, and we limped for the last 500 yards, and so it was tight.
Congratulations, on to Sarasota.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Felix and Juan Sorrellas pick up the checker flag in the Pro Stock P88, the winner in that division.
Good ride for them, 1 hour and 32 minutes and 9 seconds, 87.12 their average speed. We'll go to the board and give you the complete rundown on Pro Stock. First Defense was second. High Risk finishing third, and Risky Business was fourth. Mark is standing by with the winners of Pro Stock.
Tight competition in the Pro class. We're with the winners. Miss Don Q. Felix, what's it like to have your brother back in the cockpit with you?
It's great to have him back after a race that he wasn't able to make it. We had a tough competition today, but luckily we came out ahead.
That looked like all afternoon you had the boat in absolutely perfect trim.
It felt very well out there. I mean, the conditions were perfect for us. We set up the boat just right this time. We hit it right on the money, so it was no problem to walk away with it.
Good shot of South Shore Harbor Marina, the wet pits, as the final boats are reporting now into the dock. Here are your results in the stock class. The winner there, of course, Hat Trick.
And the offshore powerboats in the various classes will be coming your way around the country. One more stop in Florida, then we go into the Great Lakes area of Bay City, Michigan, Grand Haven, Michigan, and Traverse City, Michigan. 3 straight northern races before they go east to Atlantic City, New Jersey for the World Championship later in the season.
Well, the word attrition is the word that we used at the beginning of this program to talk about this race today, and Lake Pontchartrain held true not only to attrition, but tradition.
Yeah, attrition and tradition go with Lake Pontchartrain. Nice part about it, though, no injuries. That made it a safe race, and that always makes it a good race.
And I got to tell you, Charlie Marks is going to be celebrating for a while. He's having one fine season.
And so would John Antonelli's crew. The Spirit of America Open class did very well.
Well, we're going to continue on the offshore circuit. There'll be more racing coming your way, and we hope you'll join us then. For Rich Lors and Mark Spencer, Jim Hendrick, and myself, Dick Crippen, so long from New Orleans, Louisiana.
The Popeyes Offshore Grand Prix has been sponsored by Bud Light. Anything else is just a light. And by Zenith Data Systems. Zenith innovates again. A promotional consideration and accommodations were provided by South Shore Harbor Marina with 446 boat slips and 26 boat houses, plus all the amenities you expect. South Shore Harbor Marina, a new era in harbor communities. This has been a production of IPI Sports.